Hi everyone, welcome. Oh, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, I just really haven't got around to doing any videos lately, life and this, that and the other gets in the way. But I have been having a bit of a play this week and I have been making some vintage style tickets. Now, I was inspired to do this because I saw who was it? I think it might have been Margaret at Seven Plaza. She was using some Tim Holtz. It was coloured Kraft card, I think it was called. If I can find a picture, I will insert it. And what it was like coloured card that you could sand down and reveal the craft underneath. Now, I don't have that, and I don't particularly want to spend the money to buy that if I've got products at home that I could use to kind of get the same effect. So I've been having a bit of a play, and I do have some of this Kraft paper. I've had that in my stash. I use it a lot. So I thought, oh, I've got that, and I've also got a really nice selection of paints. So I thought, what about if I painted onto the Kraft and see what happens? So that is what I did. Now, the paints I used are these, and they are by a company called Atelier Ellis. It's in the UK, and I think I have shown these before. They do the most gorgeous paints. They are household paints, not craft paints. However, I tend to buy these tester pots, and they just do the most gorgeous vintage style colours. So the ones in here are the ones that I've used. So I've chosen, I'm trying to get that on, I'll do it later. I kind of chose colours that I thought would emanate those kind of old tickets that you see. So like the darker browns, the blues. This is my favourite colour ever. Absolutely love that colour. It's one called Pollen. Look how beautiful that is. I absolutely love it. It is a creamy yellow, but not overly yellow, not overly creamy. It's absolutely beautiful. So these are the colours that I've been using. This one's called Bird's Nest. And you can see they're just lovely vintage style colours. Now what I did is these can go quite thick, so I did put them in a little bowl, spritz some water in with them and mix them round to to thin them out. This is a gorgeous kind of dark grey blue colour. So I did that and painted on top of the craft paper, so you can see. So this is the craft paper, watered down a little bit. I didn't worry if I had any gaps because I kind of wanted that effect. So I just used lots of different colours. Okay. And then, because those paints can be quite chalky, they can obviously, you can kind of scratch and damage them a little bit. So I had a play and I thought, what would happen if I added some matte medium gel over the top? Would it look, would it look shiny, or would it still retain that kind of vintage feel? So here is what I did. I did half the paper in, just left it, and the other half I covered in gel medium. Now, I'm not sure what you can see and what it looks like on camera, but there is a very, very minimal difference. The bottom one is the one with the gel medium. I was just trying here to see how it stamped on top of the gel medium as well, and it was fine, and it doesn't rub off. So all of these have the gel medium at the bottom, and I don't know about you, but I can't see a massive difference. If I tip it a certain way, I get a little bit of shine. if the gel medium was a little bit thicker, but not really. And I sanded it down anyway, you know, to make the actual tickets. So once I had got my Kraft, painted it, I then went over with a very thin layer of the gel medium. So that is how I initially got my papers. So then I just went through my stamp collection and I just kind of had a look at what I've got. Now this one here is a really well used stamp of mine. I use it all the time. You've probably seen me using it. This made the base of most of the labels. I've also got this one that I have used quite a bit doing this project, and I tended on this one to use just the smaller elements. So I've got like small numbers here, a really tiny number there, rather than using the whole thing, and that worked really well. This is a new set that I have and I absolutely love it. You've got some really cool stamps as well as these little stamps just for adding some grunge and some vintage oldness to it. Again, I have used kind of like the small elements, approved, the number here, little number down here, just added, you know, dabbed a little bit of ink on just to use some of the smaller elements, but that I absolutely love. I can't remember where it's from. I think it's from AliExpress or somewhere similar. This set here I tend to have used just for the lines, and there's some lines here and the grid as well. And this is the packaging that postcard set came in, and unfortunately it says nothing more than silicone clear stamps. I can't even find, that would be the product number, I think. But yeah, I'm really impressed with those. So I got those out, and I also got a few others out that I thought I might use bits of. So I've got some letters there, some frames, and I did receive this from the Heidi Swap Stamp Society, and I haven't used it yet, but I would quite like to have a go at that as well. And I dug out my kind of wooden stamps selection I've got there. I've got this nice one here that says journal. I dug out this so I could, you know, stamp some dates on. I got that cheap from the pound shop, I think. I have these stamps here, which are individuals, and you can clip those together. So I've been using those. I think they were from Amazon. So I've dug those out. These are quite handy. Letter imprint stamps, so they come out like that. I've been having a go with those. So yeah, basically I just went through my stash and saw what I could find. Now, like I was saying, I don't have a stamp that looks like this. I've had to use little bits of, you know, obviously I found, what's that called? A signature. I think that must have been off this one here, just a tiny, tiny little signature. And I've just made them up myself using little elements from all my different stamp sets. Now, for ink, primarily I have used this one, the Archival Acid-Free Permanent Waterproof Jet Black from Ranger. I've also used a little bit of the Antique Linen in places just to lift the colour of these yellow ones. I've also used this Rocket Red for doing some of the red stamping. There's the other one. Right, this comes out really nice. For going around the edge, I've used ground espresso, just a little bit. I didn't go mad with that. For doing the kind of aging on these brownie coloured ones, I actually used the old paper oxide. It is gorgeous. They were looking really dark and you still can't see the stamping very much, but they just look old, and using this just lifted it, and you can see where oxidization has happened. It's gone from like a green colour to a blue. And I use the texture stamp from here. This one and this one. So love that. I forgot about using faded jeans, but this is a gorgeous blue colour, so I might have a go with that as well. And then other things I've been using, just stamping blocks, some sandpaper, or you know, little I got these little sanding blocks from online. So just something like that to distress. If you want to, you could use scissors, anything like that. Obviously, it's something to put the ink on with. And then other than that, it's just a case of stamping and seeing what happens. So, I'm going to make some more today. I'm going to move these to one side. Let's see, where can I put those? Put those over there. And I'm just going to choose a colour that I haven't got yet. Actually, I'm going to go for these two because I want to show you what this looks like. It's gorgeous. So pop those to one side. And let's do this one first. Now, I won't bore you showing you every single bit of stamping, but I'll just show you how, you know, I went about doing it. So I quite like this size, and I quite like the big one as well. And I use this block with it and get my ink. I tend to take my ink to my stamp rather than the other way around. Just gives it some good coverage, and then I tend to stamp it onto a book just to make sure, you know, it's all covered before I stamp it onto my card. So give that stamp. Yep. I just like to do that. I feel like it double checks if the ink's on properly, and you know that it's going to be okay. Okay, so there's one stamp. Now, what you can do if you want to distress it more, you can either, let me find one that I've done. Yeah, you can either just leave it as is, and use it how it is. So just take any texture that's already on your page. That's one like that. You can distress it before you print, like this one. So I just distressed the whole piece further with some sandpaper, and then picked out bits of the paper that I like to stamp over. Or you can distress afterwards, which gives this effect. And what happened was it just faded where I was sanding. It faded the ink and the dates, and I actually really like that because it looks like it's old, you know, and like it's faded over time. So there's various ways you can do it. You know, it's just up to you depending on the effect. I think what I will do is just give that a bit of a cover there. I'm just going to get some sandpaper, and all I'm going to do is just stress it in some areas that are, you know, a bit more fully covered in the paint. So you can get your sandpaper. This is going to be wobbly probably on the camera. I do apologise. And just sand it down a little bit like that. Then if you have some tissue spare, just give it a wipe away any excess. And you can see you start getting the Kraft paper from underneath. Okay, so I've just distressed that a little bit more with the sandpaper. It can get, depending on the paint, this paint's really chalky, so it can get a little bit messy. So just protect any surfaces, And if you know, if you feel like you need to wear a mask or something like that, if you've got breathing difficulties, you know, kind of do what's going to keep you safe. I don't know if acrylic paint makes as much mess. I've not used it, but you can see you get quite a bit of the grain, you know, the paint coming off. So I'm just going to move that to one side, and I'm going to just get all the extra bits off here. So I've got my blue foam down. It just helps to get a good impression with the stamp. I'm just going to go and do a few more of this size. Just being quite strategic where I put it. So that I'm kind of getting some of this grungy outline. Grungy texture, sorry, not outline. Okay, so I've got some that size. Let's just stamp this off. We're also going to do some of the larger ones. And I really like that effect there, where it's been distressed and the ink hasn't quite caught it. I think that's great, I love that. Let's do a few more of those. Again, just thinking about where there's texture on the page, just trying to get a little bit of that distress in. So I'll leave it there for now because, you know, this is probably likely to be quite a long video. So I'm just going to do a few that shape on this yellow, gorgeous yellowy cream colour. Pop this back. I have learnt to work quite neatly with these, so every time I use one I put it back, otherwise it gets carnage. Right, so I think I will show you, just for ease, I will try and recreate some of these, like that one, and I really liked this one. Can you see them? You can't see them, can you? So this one, this one, this one, and this one's really nice as well. So I'm just going to keep them there as like a bit of just a bit of a reference. And the first thing I'm going to do is use this stamp set here, the lines from it. So again, I'm going to bring my ink pad to the stamp, and I'm going to kind of stamp it so that the bottom bit meets this bottom bit here. That's the plan anyway. Okay, perfect-ish. Going to do the same on the other side. I think I pressed down a little bit too hard, to be honest. But that's fine because we can distress it all. I'll do the same here. There you go, that's much better. Okay, and that just gives us the lines. Now, what I could do, if I wanted just one line now, I can just ink what I need and put another line down here. So what I'm going to do is clean that off. I want it completely clean, and this is how I end up with ink all over my hands because I just wipe it. It's just easier, it's quicker, and it doesn't bother me. And all I want is ink halfway down this one here. And this is a really good way of utilising your stamps. So I'm just literally going to pop a little bit of colour on there where I want it. Make sure there's nothing anywhere else. And that is a tiny bit too long, so I'm just going to take a little bit off there. Pop it down. There you go, and that's given me a line there as well. So even if you've only got little bits of your stamps, you can, you can kind of still use them. Yeah, it's a bit of a faff, but it's all in the fun. It's all in the fun, to be honest. And, we can go with it. So for this one, again, the stamp was too long. So all I did was I had it this way up, like that, and I just stopped the ink at about there. So I'm just going to ink to about there. Make sure it's nice and tidy. There we go. Could have been a bit straighter, but it's fine. Absolutely fine. So that's that for now. I'm going to switch my stamps again. I'm just going to make sure I put this back again, just trying to keep it as neat as I can. Oops. They're getting a little bit grainy, these stamps now. They keep falling off. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put a little letter on. So I've got the A out. Well, let's do something different. Let's do, what's that? I don't like that one. Don't want an N. That's not very interesting, is it? Let's do a K. So let's do this K. Now with these, they're dead easy to use. All you need to do is pop them into the ink, and then they come out like that. The only thing I don't like about wooden stamps is that you can't see where you're putting it. So I'm going to just go for it. Here we go. Got a letter on there. Stamp that off. Next, I'm going to use some of the numbers that stick together to do those little numbers there. I'll switch the numbers up a little bit, make it a bit different. So let's do 4, 7, 3. We've got a 3? Yeah, 4, 7, 3. Okay, again. So with these, you just pop them in like that. These are really handy because your numbers end up at the same level. And they just come out like this. Dead clear, really even. They weren't overly expensive. I would say about £7 from Amazon, I think. And next, I'm going to try and find something small to put in that gap there. So I don't think I want a signature this time. I think what I might use is this. Hopefully you can see it. I'll take this off so you can see it better. It says approved. So I'm just going to try and get ink on that little bit. So I'm going to put it onto my board. I'm just going to dab the ink on. I'm going to take off where I don't want it. And don't worry about getting mucky, it all wipes off. So anywhere that seems to have collected ink, which I don't want, and I'm going to try and stamp this on here. approved. There we go. So that dead easy, it's as easy as that. Just finding little bits from your stamps. You think you haven't got much, and then you go looking, and when you look closely you find these little elements. So what I might do now is show you these little texture stamps, and I'm going to use old paper like that. These ones can just go straight onto the ink as well, and just like that. Okay, I don't press very hard, just get a little bit of texture. Let's use this one. I mean, you may not be able to see that, but it just gives a slight bit of colour. Just ages it a little bit. I love it. I love this stamp. It was about, honestly, it was about £2, this stamp, maybe a little bit more. Just going to pop that back. I might try just doing a little bit of walnut stain, a tiny bit. What does that look like? Yeah, see? Just gives it a little bit of texture. Oops. So I might try and get a second print from that. I can't remember which bit I did. Very, very minimal, but very effective. Okay. And this is basically what I did for all of them. I just went through my stamps, see what I had. So then for cutting, this is what I did. Just used a pair of scissors and I cut, leaving a little border around the edge. Like that. Now, a good tip, just in case you haven't stamped straight, is to follow the edge of the stamp, not the edge of the paper, and then you'll cut it out straight. So even if you've done a wonky stamp, you know, you should be able to get a straight cut. Okay, so that's how it's looking so far. Then I just took a little bit of the ground espresso, and to be honest, I didn't use a lot at all. I just used what was already on there. Inked around it, like that. Now at this point, you can just dress it further. You can get your scissors and go along the edges. I actually quite like mine like this, because when you start distressing, they get a little bit flimsy. It just depends what you're after, really. So you can go round like this and just stress. You can get some of that more craft paper showing there if you want to. Now, I don't know if this is like the Tim Holtz paper, you know, the final outcome. I don't know because I don't have it. It's just something I thought of doing. I thought it would give a nice effect. Using this Kraft underneath, you know, it makes quite nice sturdy labels without being too thick and bulky. And it also means that you can pick the colours that you want to use, your preferred colours, you know. So just go through your stash. And there's our first ticket done. So what I'm going to do now is do some more on this page. And I will be back with you shortly. see here, I have no idea why, but the oxide has rubbed off from there. I don't know why. It's now on my hands. It's not a big deal, you know, I can print something over the top. It'll just look like a bit of a mark, but I am wondering why it happened. It's not happened on any of the others. And it's also happened on this one. So I'm wondering if oxides don't stick so well. I tell you what I didn't do. I completely missed a step. I did actually on the others. I heat dried them just to set them a little bit, and I've forgotten to do it. So perhaps that's the reason. Yeah, so that could be the reason. I'll see how that goes. I mean, it doesn't matter. It just makes them look aged, which is what we want anyway. You know, colours fade as things get older. I'm just wondering why, that's all. It could be because I forgot to heat set them. Right, so what I'm going to do is use some of those texture stamps. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to get some walnut stain. I'm going to make a little blob there. Some walnut stain. Just like that. Okay, just to kind of age it a little bit. Like that. And I think that should be okay. I might put a little something over the top. Just put a little bit of excess over here. A little bit of the ink, just to give it a bit of colour. And do I have a number that I could use? I'm going to take this section here, you know, the bit that says the section and all those numbers and letters. So the stamp is this one. I'll put a little bit of ink on. I'm going to do it in black just to be safe. I just want that top section there, but I don't want the outline. Okay. And also going to take where it says permit number 10, I'm going to just pop that one on as well. Okay, and then I'm going to get this one here, which is in red, and I'm going to pop it onto this one. Like that. I like that. Should I do some over there? But that's just get the yeah, a bit of colour on there. I'm going to set that. To finish off, just going to get a little bit of ground espresso around the outside. Yeah, that's not come off this time, so that's good. It probably was because I forgot to set it. So no extra ink on here. You can do, I haven't. What you can do as well is distress the back. You can put some of those texture stamps on to make it look old. And I'm also just going to, it may not show up, but I'm just going to have a go putting some of the vintage linen, antique linen, sorry. Just going to put some over it just to see if it shows up and gives it a bit of a variety in the colour. So I'm going to use one of these brushes, get a good amount on there. I'm going to use the technique I did the other day, started on the page, coming in. Right, so it didn't show up loads, but I'm happy with that. So that's those two done. looking nice and aged and old. So I'm going to do some more like this now. I did say I was going to do that and then I didn't, but I do like that style. So let's get rid of this bit at the bottom. This foam, it's just cheap kids craft foam that I found. I'm going to do some in exactly the same way. So I need my stamp, this one. Well, you know, not exactly the same. I'll change the numbers and stuff. But I do quite like these. And I just need it halfway, don't I? Because it won't fit the whole thing. So I want the sticking down bit. So I'm going to do it from this side to about there. Do it this way. Okay. I mean, you might be able to get it straighter than me. Put it as straight as you can. It doesn't matter though, to be honest. It really doesn't. When you see people stamping and they're just going dead quick, aren't they? So, and once you've got everything on, you can hardly tell. Let's do one this way. Okay. That's that. And then I'm going to get a letter. This is P. I don't like that. K used. C might be quite nice. Okay, so we'll use a C on there. We'll do... What else have we got? Let's do a V. And I don't think I'm going to be able to fit one in there. So let's choose 3 numbers to go in these gaps. We can choose, let's have a look, we've got, let's do 902 because it's done. Okay, 902. Let's do 2, 4. It's like being at school, this. We used to have this type of stuff at school. 2, 4, 7 will do. And let's do, I don't like 7s. Let's do 4. Let's do 1, 4, 5. And I'm going to put it down here and hope it fits. Yeah. Okay. So then I want approved, which is on one of the smaller stamps. So I'm going to find a smaller number now. And on that same stamp, I'll show you on here, it's got this number here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to stick with the black. And this one's got a little bit of texture at the end, so I don't mind so much if I get some of that. Is that the right way around? And I'm going to stamp that there. Okay, it's not on the stamp at all, but that's fine. And do the same there. Like that. And I think I will do the same there. Like that. I've just sat down and realised I've not been filming at all. All I've done is used some stamps as they are, you know, as they come in the packet.
So this one here, and the one that says approved, and the arrival one. And all I was saying is, you know, you don't have to find all the little bits to make your own. You know, these look perfectly good stamped the way they are. This is just fun, another way of doing it. Or it's quite good if you haven't got something like this. You know, it allows you to make your own. But it's not necessarily necessary. Any way you choose to do it, you know, to get a result is great. So that's all I was saying. I can't believe I didn't have the I can't believe I wasn't recording, but there you go. So that little stamp there just says post office, and I'm going to heat set that all now. Right, I'm going to get those cut out. This one I haven't done any distressing on. I like it nice and clean like that. You can leave them like that. You can do more distressing. You can put some little splodges on there. Entirely up to you how you want yours to look. I quite like this whole smudged look. But go, you know, you do your way. Do it to suit your style. I am running very low on battery now, and I'm also running low on light. Starting to get dark. So I think what I'm going to do is I will have to continue tomorrow. I think I will have a play with this kit here and show you the results of that, and then maybe do some stamping on camera with that kit. But I think now it's going to have to be tomorrow. So, thank you for joining me. We will continue. Well, to be honest, it'll be like a second for you because I'll put it all in the same video. But for me, I'll say good night. See you in a bit. So I'm back. The lighting's probably changed a little bit. It's the next day. So off camera, I went ahead and I did some stamping on this brownie colour. I just used this stamp here and these. I'd put them together to tidy, and I literally didn't do anything other than stamp them the way they were put together. So some really quick ones there. And again, I just did some little ones. So I'm going to cut those out. I did use my Stamp Society stamps. I just went ahead and tested them. So I used the World one there. Just did them like this. I didn't do too many because it's not really what I was doing at the time. You know, I've been working on tickets, but I did want to have a go. So they are nice and distressed, and I thought they would look really nice on a collard or a cluster. And I did say I may do some more stamping on camera. However, I have already edited the first part of the video and we're already at 44 minutes. So I don't think I really need to add any extra time onto the video, particularly since really all I'm going to do is exactly the same thing, just using some different colours. I will perhaps show you, I really want to do some green ones, so I will perhaps show you if I do any of those next video. But I'm going to leave it there for today. So these are the ones we did together. These are the ones I've just stamped and I am going to cut out and distress. And this is the collection I've got so far. And I love them. So let me know what you think about painting over craft card. Obviously you can't see these in person, but if you do have the Tim Holtz craft card, the coloured stuff, let me know how you think these compare. And yeah, so I was just thinking last night, actually, if you are a beginner and you perhaps don't have this craft card, get yourself the inside of a cereal box because it's this colour. So just use the inside of a cereal box and you'll get the same effect on there. You can get some really cheap paints. You don't need to use the ones I've got. If you're in the UK, the Works do some really cheap acrylic paints. Kraft, and I'm sure you've got shops in the US as well, where you can get some cheaper type of acrylics and just have a go and see what you come up with. So yeah, I will leave it there and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me and take care. Bye.